Okay, so here we go then. So many of the clients that I work with describe a very similar experience. They'll say my stomach suddenly dropped, or my chest went tight, or my throat closed and I just couldn't speak. And what's important is this, that reaction happens before they've even had a clear thought, before they've consciously even worked out what's going on, before they've even told themselves a story about what might be going on. And as we've talked about in previous sessions, this isn't something we're all starting to recognize now. And it's our nervous system, isn't it? Our nervous system's at work. The nervous system does not wait for our conscious thought. It acts first. Its role is to keep you safe by anticipating what might happen next. So again, let's just look at how the nervous system works. The nervous system is always working ahead of you. It's constantly asking, what is likely to happen here? What does this situation remind me of? Is this safe or is this not? And to answer those questions, it uses your past experiences, our past experiences. The nervous system predicts the future based on what's already happened in your life before. So when the body reacts quickly, like a tight chest, a drop in the stomach, a closing in the throat, the reaction is not random. It's a prediction. And very often what we think is our first thought is actually the nervous system already in action. So the nervous system always acts first and the thoughts will come afterwards. And this type of response can show up in many situations: when you're stressed, when you're in conflict, uncertainty, when you're feeling exposed, and when you're feeling overwhelmed. It's the same system. And so let's go back to our ancestral history to really understand why rejection sensitivity exists at all. And we need to briefly go back in time. For most of our human history, survival depended on being a part of a group. Food was shared, warmth came from fire, protection came from numbers. And at night, people would gather around the campfire. If you were close to the fire, you were warm, you were fed, and you were safe. And if you were pushed away from the group, you were exposed to danger. So the nervous system learned a very simple and powerful rule: connection equals safety, and disconnection equals threat. Remember, the nervous system's all about survival. So that ancestral learning still lives in our nervous system today. This does not mean everybody fears rejection, but it does mean the nervous system is naturally sensitive to belonging. For some people, the nervous system has learned to anticipate rejection in particular, not because rejection is happening in the moment, but because it might happen. So remember how our nervous system works. It predicts rejection from our past. So when the nervous system repeatedly predicts rejection around connection, approval, or belonging, we call this pattern rejection sensitivity. So I'll just say that again. When the nervous system repeatedly predicts rejection around connection, approval, or belonging, this is rejection sensitivity. And rejection sensitivity is a learned nervous system pattern where the body reacts strongly and quickly to the anticipation of rejection before the thinking mind has time to even catch up. It's not about actual rejection, it's about expectation. And it is not who you are, it is something that your nervous system has learned to do. So let's think about this. Rejection sensitivity is like a smoke alarm that is set very sensitively. A well-calibrated alarm goes off when there is a real fire. A sensitive alarm goes off when you make toast. The alarm is not broken, it has learned to be highly alert. The goal is not to remove the alarm, but to recalibrate it. So in usual style, I want to do a bit of a quiz, but it's not anything you've got to write down. It's not anything you've got to write in the chat room or anything. It's just something for you to notice. You know, we do somatics where you notice how your body feels when you connect with your body, noticing what your body's holding on to. We're just going to do that. I'm just going to ask you some sentences, read some sentences here, and I just want you to feel where these might show up for you. And so I'll leave a bit of a space in between just to give you time to think. So just notice what feels familiar. Okay, 1. I react emotionally before I have had time to think when I feel criticised or judged. if someone does not reply, my body reacts, even though my mind says it's probably nothing. Three, I replay conversations afterwards, worrying that I've said the wrong thing. Four, I over-explain, justify, or apologize automatically. Five, I feel a sudden drop, panic, or tension when I sense some distance. Six, I sometimes pull away first to protect myself. Seven, my sense of ease depends on how accepted I feel. Eight, I am very sensitive to tone, facial expression, or silence. Nine, I can be confident in many areas of my life, but rejection hits me hard. And so if you've just been listening to those and thought, oh, they sound familiar, they sound familiar to me, that's like what I experience, then if several of these feel familiar, then it's a pattern. And we know that, don't we? So if we're looking at things like we talk about each week, if they're showing up, then it means there's usually a pattern there. But rejection sensitivity does not begin in your mind, okay? It begins in the body. And common experiences include, so when you're in those situations, you might feel a tightness in the chest or the throat, a sinking feel in the stomach, a holding of the breath, a strong urge to fix, explain, or the urge to withdraw or just shut down. The nervous system is responding to a perceived threat to connection. So if you think about, it might be that you've text somebody and then you're just waiting for them to come back. How many times do you check that and like, do you think, oh, they're not going to phone, and you go to the worst case scenario. But before even those thoughts come in your mind, your body starts responding. You start, feeling a bit panicky, a bit anxious. That's rejection sensitivity. It's just perceiving that, you're gonna be rejected because it's happened before. So where rejection sensitivity comes from. Rejection sensitivity develops when experiences of rejection or emotional disconnection occur repeatedly. And so again, it's your nervous system trying to protect you, to say this is going to happen, so we need to get out of here, or we need to do something about it, especially in situations where connection matters. So the nervous system responds by creating safety rules, and these are not conscious beliefs. These are automatic strategies designed to maintain safety and belonging. Now we know it's not just with rejection. We know that our nervous system gives us these signs as well with other things. It's all about when the nervous system thinks that there's something that's not safe. Okay, but we're just focusing on this today. So a child, let's give you some examples. Let's look at a child that wants some attention. So a child who enjoys being seen and seeks connection through attention is told, stop showing off. You are embarrassing. Children should be seen and not heard. And what does the nervous system learn? It learns when I show myself, connection is threatened. And so a safety rule will form. Do not stand out. Stay small to stay connected. Some of you might recognize some of these examples that I'm giving. And then we've got the quiet child. A quiet, low maintenance child is praised for not needing much. And they learn, I belong when I don't need much. And in adulthood, this can show up as difficulty asking for help, minimizing needs, or discomfort receiving support. And then we've looked at example 3, and that is the high achiever. A child receives attention and approval primarily when they perform or when they succeed. So they're getting attention when they perform or they succeed. And what they learn is, I am safe when I achieve. And later this can show up as a fear of failure, chronic pressure, or self-worth tied to performance. So the nervous system becomes like a radar, constantly scanning for signs of threat to connection, tone, silence, distance, facial expression. So it might not be like something that you're hearing. It could just be the way somebody looks at you, that look, and you think, why did that trigger me? Or the fact that there's silence. I don't like silence, you know. It's something that your nervous system is predicting as not being safe. The radar is not faulty. It has been calibrated by your own experience. And so logic doesn't switch this off. The nervous system does not respond to logic or reassurance. It responds to a felt sense of safety. It's not asking, is this true? It's asking, is this familiar? And so it's like old software running a new system. It once made sense. It now needs updating. And the nervous system is, as you know, as we do each week, is capable of change. Through experience, the brain updates its predictions, and this is neuroplasticity. When the body expects rejection and experiences safety instead, that old response will begin to soften. And we do not remove the alarm, we just retrain it. Does that all make sense? So any questions on that? I'm really trying to repeat each week how the nervous system works, because when we get that feeling in our system, again, it's our nervous system predicting danger that's not safe because it's happened before. And so it doesn't mean it's happening, it just means it's predicting it. So our job is to stop that prediction, to change that prediction, to change how the nervous system thinks. Good. Thanks, Lucy. Yeah, it's so if the nervous system's always predicting, so if we change that prediction point and get it to predict something else, it updates the whole nervous system. Yeah, so it's all, your nervous system is always on prediction, not on actually what's happening. That's why our nervous system will often respond. Like people say to me, I'm just being triggered and I don't even know what's triggering me. And it's because the nervous system is doing that first. So the nervous system will always put you into anxiety and fear first for survival, and then you get the thoughts afterwards. And that's why a lot of people say, I don't know why it's happening. I'm not making sense of it. But with BWRT, we don't need to make sense of it because it's not logical. We need to rewire that prediction. So your brain is looking and saying, am I safe all the time? And every nanosecond, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And it's looking at your past to see whether you're safe or not. Everything you see, smell, touch, taste, and hear. And if it finds something that's ever been in a situation where you felt unsafe before, it will trigger that feeling, just to keep you safe. Yeah, for the BWRT inspired rewire, you will need to go into the Transformation Hub where you get access. If you haven't got access to this, then please visit my website where you can join and become a member of the Transformation Hub for only £29 a month.